I'm sure you've been watching the news and you've been seeing the damage and the devastation that's occurred in the southeast portion of the U.S. Hurricane Helene plowed into the panhandle of Florida and caused damage in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Northeast Tennessee. I'm Stephanie, and this is Shad. We're with the Freck Group at Greater Impact Realty, and our team specializes in helping people that are moving across the country to Northeast Tennessee. And today we wanted to sit down and just kind of go over what's happened here, how this has affected our area. And when I say our area, I'm going to talk, and we're both going to talk specifically about 7 counties, which are Washington, Greene, Sullivan, Unicoi, Carter, Hawkins, and Johnson counties. And I know there's been other areas here in Northeast Tennessee that have really seen a lot of devastation, but we're going to speak specifically about those counties. So I think probably a good place to start would be what happened? What happened here and why?
Yeah, well, before the storm even hit, we had 3-4 days of a decent amount of rain, so the ground was saturated, the rivers were already full. And I tell my clients a lot when they come to visit is that, you know, the mountains normally are a great protector for us from the storms off the Gulf Coast or off the Atlantic seaboard. And what happened this time was a little bit different from a standpoint of that it dumped so much rain into the mountains that we dealt with an unprecedented amount of water flow. There was over 30 inches of rain that fell in the mountains of North Carolina. And some of our rivers start feeding from those mountain ranges, including the Nolichucky River here, which was probably the most devastating of all in our area. Starts in at Mount Mitchell in North Carolina, which is the tallest mountain on the eastern seaboard. And so by the time all of that rain and water came to our area, it became such devastation that no one could have prepared for. This is they're calling this a once in a 1,000-year event. So hopefully we'll never see anything like this again. But at one point they were tracking the water flow through the Nolichucky River, and at one point, it was double the amount of what normally the peak water going over the Niagara Falls. So it's something that we really couldn't have prepared for. We just want everyone to realize this is an historic event, something that we hope we don't ever have to go through again.
And let's tell people a little bit about what specific areas have been really devastated, because it's not the whole area, and sometimes it's hard to get your head around that. If you're living in another state and you're watching the news, you're seeing various stories. So we thought we'd like to speak to that about which areas, which counties, and stuff like that. Yeah.
The Nolichucky, for instance, what we've been talking about the most is in the southern portion of our area. It's near the base of the mountains. And for context, we're on the north side of the highest crest of the Appalachian Mountains. And again, that's why we have that normal protection. But it's the southern portion of our area. So, really, even when this storm was hitting, I even looked over and told Stephanie, I was like, it didn't seem to be that bad for us. We live in Jonesboro, which is right on the edge of Johnson City, and it felt like just a bad storm. So we were not aware of the devastation that was occurring in the mountains at the time. But anyway, this is the southern portion of our area. So a lot of our area is back to normal for the most part as far as, infrastructure and stuff goes. We lost power for a little while. We had some trees down, a few things like that, some water outages. But we were not aware of the devastation that was occurring within that southern section of our area.
Well, and when we talk about the southern section, we're talking about a southern portion of Greene County, of Washington County, Unicoi, Carter, and also then, Johnson.
Yeah, and Johnson County is up in the mountains. So if you've ever heard of the town, Mountain City, for instance, is a town up there. That's up in the mountains. So again, if we don't talk about this enough, the mountain towns are just as devastated as those around the rivers. They experience high wind up there, and a lot of those towns today, we're recording this about a week after the event, and there's still people that have not seen any help yet in certain remote areas. They're still trying to get to a lot of people up into the mountains, but this is generally more of the southern areas of those counties and then up into the mountains themselves.
And the kind of damage that they have in these areas is the infrastructure damage, like hospitals, roads, bridges, water, electric, sewer, communications. You know, people lost their homes, their businesses, were completely swept away, and you know, farm animals, loss of life, of families. Right now, they're still doing search and rescue. That's the #1 concern. And also getting to these people that were like on the other side of bridges that don't exist anymore. We had at least 5 bridges destroyed. We've heard different numbers, but we've heard 14 that were compromised, I guess probably aren't operational at this time. And so it's very challenging. They're trying to get food and supplies and medical supplies to these people. The good news is all 49 dams, they made it through the storm, which is really almost unbelievable when you think about the amount of water that was, you know, flowing through the Nolichucky.
Right.
Alone.
I mean, again, this is so historic in the amount and the volume of water that we're dealing with here. None of the dams of the 49 dams failed. And, you know, we had reports that there was imminent failure, but thank God that they didn't fail. And then also our 2 highest elevated lakes in our area are the Watauga Lake and South Holston Lakes. They are there to hold a lot of that water, so they filled up at historic levels as well. But since they held a lot of the water up in the mountains, there was a lot of our area that was spared any destruction because they did their jobs. So it's amazing that that happened. But again, all of the other destruction, there's no way for anyone to ever prepare for that.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to kind of go over the kind of effects that it had, is, you know, 3 hospitals were evacuated. Probably a lot of you saw on the news, Unicoi County Hospital in Irwin. Over 50 people had to be evacuated from the roof. Some people said that the water was rising at a level almost 8 to 10 feet from the top of the roof. That hospital is maybe a total loss. They've got to figure that out, of course. Greenville Community Hospital had no water or phone system, so it was evacuated, and the ER only was open. And Sycamore Shoals Hospital in Elizabethton, it was evacuated, I think for safety reasons. And I think they went back into operations yesterday, so that's fantastic news. I think Greenville Community Hospital will be opening back up when they have water. Greenville lost you want to talk about that? They lost their water treatment plant.
Yeah, well, the good news is, I actually read a little bit earlier today, is that they've already accomplished some reconnections to the county. There was over 70,000 people in the county of Greene County that had no water for most of the week. And so they're just getting that back online. But, you know, a lot of those communities and stuff, the pumps were all near the river. In fact, even Jonesboro, the town of Jonesboro, draws from the Nolichucky River. So it's a very important lifeline for a lot of people, and you know, they're getting a lot of that infrastructure back in play already, thank God. So
yeah, and the schools, most of the schools have been closed all this week. I would imagine by tomorrow there'll probably be some announcements. You know, some schools will be open. I don't know if Johnson City schools were open or not.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think they were.
A lot of the other schools were definitely closed for the week. So that's the kind of, you know, damage, you know, just kind of overview. You've been seeing the news and the stories. It's just heartbreaking, you know. On the other hand, it's very strange. About 36 hours after the storm, Shad and I and our little dog Lexi, we decided to go grab something to eat because we didn't have any power. So we live in Jonesboro. We went up through North Jonesboro and DeGray, North Johnson City, grabbed something to go, came back another route. And I said to him, I cannot believe that this has just happened, because it was beautiful. You know, the sun was shining, and it seemed like, nothing happened, you know. while other people were totally devastated. There's other areas, a big part of our area that is as beautiful as ever. That's just, maybe they had some limbs down or lost some power or some water, while other people are just, fighting for their lives and everything, lost everything that they owned. So for many people, life is sort of back to normal, for the lack of a better term. It weighs heavy on you, which kind of leads to people stepping up in the area. They are just stepping up, whether they have a lot, whether they have a little. It doesn't matter where you come from. They're all just working to help these people in need. And we've seen people that lost everything, and they're stepping up to help people that lost everything. I mean, like,
we were at Fender's Farm. It's the farm south of here. They have corn mazes and rides for the kids, hay rides, and pick your pumpkins and a place like that. And it's a fantastic place to visit. And they were completely destroyed. And at the same time, they were rounding up a group of individuals with supplies and everything they needed to go over to a town in North Carolina to help them out. And here's a place that was just totally destroyed, and mud and debris everywhere, and they put that aside to help other people at the same time. So it's amazing, the stories of what we're hearing of the people in this area and how they're helping their fellow neighbors. And it just goes back to what we just always talk about all the time, and you can go through that more than me, but
it's
the people here are fantastic.
They are. They've been amazing. I mean, people are offering their Airbnbs, their houses, rooms in their homes. Hey, I've got a well with clean water. You can come and get water. The Unicoi County Animal Shelter, they risk their lives, the employees and the volunteers, to save 100 animals. I mean, people are saying, I've got a barn, you can bring your horses. It goes on and on. And what it reminds us is that, Northeast Tennessee is a beautiful area, but we were talking about this last night. The thing that makes it the most beautiful are the people. The people are, they're what makes this place so beautiful. And we just want to thank everybody that's reached out to us personally, worried about us, worried about the area, worried about this beautiful, beautiful place, Northeast Tennessee, that we call home. And we appreciate your thoughts, your prayers for everyone. And if you want to donate, the brokerage that we're with, Greater Impact Realty, they've created the Hurricane Helene Relief Resources page. And we'll put the link in our description below our video. I know there's a lot of great places you could donate, but if you can, that would be awesome. And thank you for watching us and listening, and we'll see you soon.